bit about our agenda. We only have half an hour, so we want to give you some information and then give you an opportunity to participate on a blog so that you cannot put it off as one of those skills that you may never do. So our agenda today, we're going to be covering what is a blog. We're going to talk about why you would blog, navigating a typical blog site, basic blog etiquette, and then using blogs as teaching tools. We're going to talk briefly about different types of blogs and give you some resources to follow up on after this webinar, and using blogs for professional development. And lastly, we're going to talk about the TESL Ontario blog. So Tamsin is going to talk to you now about what a blog is.
So some of you have probably looked at blogs or maybe even tried to do some blogging on your own. I know I love blogging, so that's a good thing for me. It comes from the phrase weblog, which some of you might know, just shortened down to blog. And it's really for, it started out as being just for personal archiving of information or emotions or just what's going on. Some people have travel blogs where it's just it's an electronic journal, right? So each entry is called a post, and it's a way for us to connect with others and build a community inside of people that we can connect on certain topics with. So at this time, I just want to bring your attention to the TESL Ontario blog, which Nancy and I administer. So if you could click on the link that is in the presentation slide there, and it'll take you to the TESL Ontario blog. So it'll open up in another browser or another tab there. So I just want you to look at that for just a minute. So what you see on the home page is the blog posts. So just put a hands up if you could, using the little hand icon in that gray area underneath the names if you have reached the site. And let us know if you have problems reaching that site. But it looks like most of you are there. That's great. And thanks, Jen, for the comment. TESL Ontario has some great bloggers. We do. They're amazing. They're very knowledgeable in their area of expertise. And we really appreciate the contributions that they make. So, Nancy, do you want to just move on to the next one to get us a little bit more into why we would blog? Thanks. You can also put your hands down now. So you just click on the same icon.
Okay, great. So the big question is, why are we blogging? Why do we go out of our way to do this? And as Tamsin has indicated, it's an expression of ourselves. It's a connection to the outside world, and it helps us, and we can see when we think about using this tool either for ourselves or with our students, how it can be used as a tool to accomplish other objectives. So right now, I'm going to hand it back over to Tamsin, and she is going to talk about navigating a blog.
Okay, so I won't make you go back to that blog site if you've already closed it off. But if you are there, you can still look back at that, and I can explain a little bit through that as you look at the blog site itself. So if you notice, or if you have seen on other blogs, the newest topic or the newest post is always the first one that you see. For the majority. Sometimes they can make that different, but for our purposes, the newest topic is always the most recent one is always at the top. Some blogs also have categories that they can organize their posts a little bit more, because blogs don't technically have an end date. So if a blog has been up for 3 years or so, there's a lot of posts that are there. So bloggers tend to organize based on categories. And on the TESL blog, you can see that we have categories on the right-hand side. And what's really nice about categories, navigating through that, is if you find a topic that you're really interested in, you can click on that category and it will bring up all of the posts rather, that have that tag or that category in it. So it filters it for you, which is really nice and user-friendly and searchable, right? So keywords and tags are kind of like that as well. It's just that they're an even finer filter for that. Also, when you're navigating a blog, usually at the end of each post, there's options for commenting. And so commenting is a really great way in order to build that community with other bloggers or even just other colleagues and peers in your field. So commenting is really encouraged when you are looking at a blog, and you always want to have a positive comment or a way to engage in the conversation or expand that conversation. So on the TESL Ontario blog, we've had really great community members who have commented on some of the posts, and their information has been really insightful, or even just questions to say, can you expand on this a little bit more? And so later on, we're going to try and maybe do some hands-on with that. But commenting is really great. And what's really great about the TESL Ontario blog is that even though we have 6 different guest bloggers who are responsible for putting up the posts, the person who made that post is the person who replies to that comment. So we're really happy about that. It helps to engage that person rather than having another person speak on their behalf. So when you're commenting on those blog posts, you're actually speaking with the person who wrote that, which sometimes you don't necessarily get that with other organizational blogs, but with ours, we really encourage that, and that's great. The other thing is you can follow and subscribe to blogs. Thanks, Jen, for that comment. They do. Commenting really helps bloggers to know whether or not the information is relatable and relevant. They spend a lot of time creating material for a post. I mean, it might take you 5 minutes to read a post, but it's going to take them a lot longer than 5 minutes to write the post. Just like in teaching, a lesson might only happen for 30 minutes, but it's taken you hours to create that lesson plan. So getting feedback from their peers is always a great thing, and it's encouraging for them. So following and subscribing is a really good way to keep abreast as to when the next post comes out, and that can be found in different spots on a blog site. So it can be either at the bottom or at the top or on a side menu, but you're looking for keywords like subscribe or follow or RSS feeds, or even join a mailing list. And that way you don't have to keep going to that blog every day. You'll just get a notification to say, hey, today there's a new blog post, which is really great. So let's go to the next slide. Let's talk more about etiquette. And that's where we're going to just delve a little bit more into the comment idea. So like we said, it's desired and encouraged. But as I said before, we're all professionals, and so we want to be respectful, but also maybe even try to expand or push an idea. Maybe one of the posts had touched on something you're really interested in and you want to learn more about it. Doing that is always encouraged as well, just creating more questions for conversation. Those are great. And just making sure that it's done in a way that promotes that positive environment and learning environment, right? We expect that from our students, so we expect that from each other. So write as little or as much as you like. Or as often as you like, that's always great. So when you do a comment and somebody comments back, just kind of follow that thread, and it helps the conversation. Just remember that when you're commenting, being on social media and being on the internet, you're creating your professional appearance. So the words that you use, the way that you speak, that always comes out when you talk to somebody verbally, but it especially comes out on text. So you can either build a positive reputation for yourself, or you can build a negative reputation. So I'll leave that up to you to decide how you want to build your reputation. But just keep that in mind as to when you're writing, it's very public, right? And that's what a blog is. So any hints for comment bait when you're writing a post? Good question, Dawn. That's great. With every post that we put up on TESL Ontario, we always encourage our bloggers to have a final question at the bottom, kind of like a call to action, right? So it's like when you're writing a 5-paragraph essay and in your conclusion, you're saying, so what did you want your reader to learn from this? Or how do you want your reader to engage? So there's often a question at the end that makes it more, that puts it back onto the reader to say, have you used this resource in your class? What do you think about it? Or do you know of any other ways? Do you have any other tips about copyright issues? So the comment bait would be more of just what kinds of questions, how can I phrase a question or a statement to really engage my reader? And oftentimes it's just, what are your thoughts? But being very specific, not just saying, what do you think? What do you think about a certain point in my post? Right. Nancy, do you have anything else to add, or do you want to move on to the next one?
I'll move on to the next topic, but I think you're dead right about it's all about engagement, and it's about engagement regardless of the type of blog that you're on. If you're writing, you're not writing just to spew something out to the masses. You want to engage. And what we're going to talk about on this slide has to do with engaging students and how you could use this as an ESL teacher with your students. So first of all, if you are doing reading tasks, you could ask your students to read blogs. And as a follow-up to reading about a blog, you could ask them to write or do a speaking task to summarize what they have read. Or use it when students are learning to formulate an opinion or learning how to express an opinion. And they can look at blogs as samples of this. There is nothing more authentic than getting real-life blogs to be able to do this. Another way that you can use the blog as a teaching tool is in your writing. You can ask students to respond to blogs. You can either do that if you have found a blog that you would like students to participate in, or you can add a blog to your classroom if you have a learning management system, and you will be able to ask students to not only write, but respond to other blogs as well. And of course, that leads us to our last item, which is writing, where you can ask students to write their own blog. This works perfectly in a virtual classroom or an LMS. It's kind of like having a diary or a personal journal, as it were. So we are going to look now very briefly at the types of blogs that are out there. You will have access to this presentation later, so you will be able to follow these links. There are certain blogs that have a writing style that demonstrate different writing styles, blogs that are full of news, and blogs that just talk about culture. So there are a lot of these. We don't have time in this presentation to go and actually dissect them, as I said, but you will be able to follow along with them. And the last thing we're going to look at here is a professional development blog. And this is the type of blog that lets you share information among a group of people who are in the same profession. And it helps to keep people up to date on the latest information. It really encourages people to engage in a discussion. It's a great source for new ideas. Even though I think I know topics, I still want to read about things just in case I learn that one thing new that I can add or expand the way I'm teaching. And certainly when you encounter a blog that you like, or in this case, what we're talking about today, the TESL Ontario blog, is to find or suggest topics. If you want to hear more about something, the bloggers and the blog administrators are always happy to hear what your suggestions are and what comments you have. So before I hand this back over to Tamsin, the question here, if we have any issues with negative commenting, and the TESL Ontario blog has not been in operation for more than a year. It's only been up for about 6 months. And we have not had any negative comments or any thing that would detract from the purpose of it. So we're really happy to report that people use their real names, and it really is a professional space to be. So having said that, we are going to go now and look at the TESL Ontario membership blog, and Tamsin's going to unmute herself and take over from here.
Okay, so like I alluded in the beginning of the presentation, if you could just either click on the link again on the PowerPoint or open up the tab if you still had it open to the TESL Ontario blog. And what we're just going to encourage you at this point is just take a couple of minutes, read one of the posts that are there, and just use this time to comment on one of them. And I want you to note, like it had, as John had asked, what are some comment bait strategies? I want you to look at that as well and see maybe on a post, how did they end the post to engage the community to respond to them? So as you're looking at that, feel free to read a post, feel free to comment on a post. That would be really great. And then when you return back to here, just put your hand up and so that we can know that you've done that. And if you have any other questions, you can definitely put them on the side here and we can try and answer that during this time.
That's great. So let's take about the next 5 minutes or so to go to that blog as Tamsin had indicated. You'll see that there are many posts there. The latest one was published just this Monday on signposts showing the way to good communication. You will see that there are ways that if you have a Twitter feed that you can tweet this particular a blog out to your followers on Twitter. You can pin it on Pinterest. You can like it on Facebook. You can share ideas and information. And this is really the beauty of technology and the ability to get information out there. So I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes so that we both are, so that you can read, and to respond to a post next to where it says post comment, you will see a number. It will be a 0 or a 1 or some number, and you just click on that number and you will be able to post your response. And we would be happy to hear your comments on any of the posts that we have on this blog. Thank you for your comment, Jen. Yes, I know that you are a regular contributor to the TESL Ontario blog and commenting on posts that are there, that you follow and do that. Thank you so much for that and for being a part of it. It's always good to hear your opinions. If any of our other participants have any questions, please feel free to type them in chat. Other than that, we will be quiet. Lorraine, thank you for the question from Twitter. Asking whether we are going to be addressing aggregating blogs as far as group blog and community blog go. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time in this presentation to address that. However, it is something that we can discuss outside in the post-webinar area to get to those points. We're going to be spending about 1 minute more, and then we'll be coming back here for a bit of a wrap-up and see how your blogging experience went on the TESL Ontario blog.
Great. It looks like some of you have already posted comments, which is really interesting. Thank you. Hopefully you found those posts engaging. And if you have any other questions attributed to what you've read, you can always ask us here about the design of the blog or how you navigated it. Was it easy for you to navigate? Things like that. Just let us know any of your own personal comments. That's good too.
Yes, excellent comments from Dawn and Era and Ivan. We appreciate your participation on this blog. Okay, and thank you, Ivan, for raising your hand that you're back into the webinar. You can lower it now, and I will ask our other participants who are probably reading all those fantastic blogs to come back to the webinar as we just do a wrap here. Okay. Well, we really appreciate your taking the time to be here with us today and talk about blogging. It's something that Tamsin and I feel very passionate about, and we just want to spread the word that blogging is for everyone. It's for you, it's for a neighbor, it is for a family member, it is for your students, and it is for a variety of reasons that you may engage in blogging. So don't be afraid of it. It's simple to follow. You will be able to learn new things and share things alike, and hopefully make the world a smaller and better place as it is. So for today, Tamsin and I would like to say thank you very much for coming and joining our blog, learning a little bit about this. And just a reminder that if you would like to follow up on any further conversation, we would be happy to meet you in Tutela to be able to follow up on this conversation. So thank you very much. If you have any last minute questions or comments, I'm going to hand this back to Lorraine, who will give you the final directions for this webinar. And thank you all for your very generous comments here. We hope you've all learned something new. Lorraine, over to you.
Thank you very much, Nancy and Tamsin. Thanks for a great presentation. And as you said, we encourage everyone to continue the discussion on Tutela and to keep commenting on the blog. And just a quick reminder for those who might have missed it at the beginning, for badges and certificates for participation in the forum, the request form will be activated on the Realize website later today. So just submit your request for a badge or certificate and it will be emailed to you by February 15th. And just a reminder as well, if everyone could please sign out when they're finished at the top right-hand corner of the screen. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the conference today.